It's not all about money going into the care sector, because there's something about helping somebody that needs it, that you get that special reward which you probably won't get anywhere else. It's really important, I think, to get everybody on the right page. This is where we're going. Are you on board?
Hello and welcome to the Expert Lounge. I'm your host, Carl Veltman, and today I'll be welcoming another expert into the lounge to share their career journey, the challenges and setbacks, the successes and highs, and their advice for entering the healthcare sector and becoming a great leader. So, without further ado, I'm delighted to welcome Dhiman, Director and Registered Manager at Lemount Healthcare. Boo, hello and welcome to the lounge.
Hello, yeah, it's nice to be here.
So, Director and Registered Manager at Lemount Healthcare. What do you do?
So, well, a lot of things really. With Lemount, I came to, it's a care home, we're registered for 25 people and it's a dementia-based care home, so it's quite an interesting journey that I've, been through there to get to where we're at now. So I came there in 2015. And I came under circumstances really which was, well, it was just a bit out of the blue, to be honest, because it's a family-run business. My mum and dad own it. They've owned it for maybe 15, 20 years now, coming up to that point, and they had big major issues with running the service, and it was to the point where we had so much they had so much pressure financially. They had a winding up petition. They had CQC, which is a regulating body, cancelling the registration, and we had all sorts of other bits. Council, obviously, then local authority, fire. So it was just everything that you could think of which were going wrong, and it wasn't necessarily.
So, this is a highly regulated industry. Isn't it?
It's very highly regulated. Yeah, and basically at that point we've got some properties as well. So I would just I finished university. I did multimedia technology, and then it was a point where it was coming to, they're gonna, we're gonna lose it basically. So I looked through the CQC report, and because I didn't have no experience when I went there, so I said and I went there basically just to help my mum and dad out originally. So I looked through the report. I looked at the things that I thought I could help with, and that were they didn't have like cleaning schedules in place. They didn't have menus and stuff like that. So I thought, well, I surely can do a bit of research. I can sort these sort of things out. So they managed to get a registered manager as well at the time. And between us and the senior care, that's the thing, you see, the care and stuff was never an issue there. It was the compliance stuff that they were struggling with. So registered manager came in, I came in, and I can remember going to the meeting, I'd been there a couple of weeks at local authority with the old building at council, and there were everybody there. There were social services, quality officers, senior quality CQC. They're about, it's the social work leaders and all these safeguarding. So I was just sat there listening to all these kind of things, saying, basically,
feeling like a fish out of water.
Yeah, I did, and then I was just listening, and I just said, this is the plan, sort of the end. And I can remember she was called Shelley Watson, and she was the head of contracts at that time, and she said to my dad, I didn't realise that you had such a talented son, because you obviously got what I was saying, sort of thing. And he was like, all right. So he didn't really say much. But then that gave me a bit of a boost. I've held my own here. Do you know what I mean? Even though I'm really new to the sector. So after that, we kind of ploughed through it. We got work done. We got another inspection.
So, I mean, at this point, you've gone into the business. Your parents are still involved in the operational running of it, presumably.
Yeah, and like my dad's, he's more of an hands-on sort of person, to be honest with you. He likes making stuff or fixing stuff. That's it. And my mum does the admin, right? And then the relying on a manager. To register manager, because register manager is a very important role, really. You know, you're registered with CQC, the kind of book stops with you and the owner. So, you know, a lot of other places where care homes and stuff like that, the register manager is more or less, you know, the main person in the building, you know. So we kind of worked through the problems. We had another inspection, and, you know, we kind of got the cancellation out, so they revoked that. But with these sort of things, other issues come about, especially in the care industry, especially with owners and management and stuff like that. So what they'll say is, we don't feel your service is safe enough to have more people come into your service. So if we're 25 bed and we've only got 15 people, then you can't get any more income, because that's the fees, the people that come there, that's how you get the income. So
at that point, you've got how many residents?
I think we had about maybe 15, 18, so around that mark. And they'd never really had it full, you see, as well. Even in previous years, they've never sort of gone to full capacity, really. And I thought that was strange. I was thinking, well, why wouldn't they? But then there's other issues as well. So, you know, if you think about it, sometimes staffing is your main source of, you know, outgoings as expenses. So if you keep it at 18 or 15, you might not have to have as many staff on to kind of, you know, so it kind of works out sometimes. But yeah, we kind of managed to get it through various, you know, ways. We battled through it, basically. We got the kind of bed block, they call it, off, so people could start coming using the service. So it went okay for about a year, 18 months or so. And then the manager that we employed, I was getting a bit more knowledgeable. You know, I was learning more stuff, because obviously since I went there, it's our business, so I'm there every day. Yeah. I'm still more or less there every day now. So I kind of got a bit more clued up in the certain things, and I felt, and we all felt, that manager wasn't kind of pulling his weight, and he didn't really seem interested anymore. And I think that's been the issue through the years. Like, the manager's so important to get that stability and sustainability, you know, and to make them improvements, because what the problem was, it was going like this in the past, where you'd get a manager, he'd come in, or they'd come in, do a job for a certain extent, and then, you know, it'd be backwards and forwards. And you know, my dad as well, it's not like all their fault. And sometimes he find it difficult to understand certain things, why we do this, why we do that.
So did you have to have some difficult conversations with your parents?
I still have these difficult conversations right now. that never sort of changes, to be honest with you. But that's one of the things I've been...
So, I mean, it's quite an interesting dynamic, because they're the owners.
Yeah.
And you're the boss.
Yeah.
So how does that work?
It's very hard. There's advantages and there's disadvantages, and with the sort of family business, and I think anybody you'll speak to kind of in a family business, there's problems, because you go home and they're still there and you're talking, so it never ends. Do you know what I mean? But to be fair, once, I think my dad's had enough at that point, because he was stressed out, you know, every time, you know, because obviously the revenues and money, and, you know, you've got to make sure you're paying people's wages. So every time it was coming up to wages, he was having a panic attack, do you know what I mean? So it was like kind of really difficult. So he'd have, after a couple of years, he's had enough, really. When I went there, and he thought, you know what? And I said, look, I will come here, I will do the job, but kind of, you've got to take a back seat and let me do it, and don't interfere. And to be fair, he did. You know, my mum still, you know, and to this day he has taken a step back because he's seen where we've gone with it, because I've seen the good work that we're doing as well. I've seen what you can do, and I think you're the only person that will be able to give the business or the service some stability, right? And I said, all right then. So I said, right, I'll register. So when I registered in 2017, that were it then. I were in charge, and we had a senior carer who'd been there a while. She'd been there as long as us, basically, and she's kind of built her way up from being a carer to being a senior carer. So I just said to her, I said, look, I need some help. Can you come in as a care manager, sort of deputy sort of thing? And because I felt, we could work well together, and she agreed. And that were it then. That gave us the stability. So we started then kind of working on things, improving systems and stuff like that.
So I'm really interested. You've kind of stumbled into the sector. And then you find yourself in this management role, and you find yourself being the right person to take on that role. So what skills is it that you possess? What are the attributes that allow you to operate effectively as a manager?
I think I've learned it over time. That's one thing. I've learned it because before I was kind of not working with staff. I was not working with anybody. I was just on my own. So it were a learning curve. It's been a learning curve, from. I'm not, at that time, I wasn't much of a people person, but I had to, it was just learned through experience, really. Obviously, I've had some sort of, I'm very kind of technology orientated and looking at systems. And I think, I did that at college, I did it at uni. And that sort of approach helped me to kind of figure things out, I think, and just being, genuine care about stuff, what you're doing, you know what I mean? And that, I think, is a natural thing that I've got, where I went in there and I kind of seen, meeting these people, vulnerable people that need your support, and I got it straight away, that side of things, even though prior to going there, I'd never really been there, even though we've had it a long time. And still now, a lot of care homes, a lot of services, even though it's kind of people are using them more, technology systems and computer systems, basically, a lot of people still on paper-based systems, and I seen that as an initial thing where just looking at, I think what really helped me as well with it is having a fresh look on it. And I think a lot of people in sector, because I speak to a lot of people now, and I think some people coming in with experience may want to do what they were doing before, where I were coming in and asking questions. Why do we do this? Why do we do that? That seems to be a waste of time. And I learned so much, to be honest, of the carers that were there.
I mean, I'm trying to sort of pick out from what you've said there. So it sounds like, firstly, you'd got real passion.
Yeah.
You're invested in the service provider. You're passionate about it being successful. You've communicated effectively with the staff when you realised that you needed to do that, and you've been innovative. So you've brought in new systems, new processes. You've embraced technology, and I guess you've looked at the home and the business through a new lens.
Yeah, that's definitely it. I think that's the eye opener, because then when I started to ask questions and I were getting responses, it were like, well, I'd go back and have a look into that, and then I'd go back to them and say, you know what, we don't actually have to do it like that. So this is a thing that's quite common in care and stuff like that, where someone might have been in, or there might have been a safeguarding issue, or there might have been a problem, or with contracts inspection or CQC inspection. So they've put all these measures in place, and it's 18 months down the line, and that problem's no longer a problem. And then you have a re-look at it and say, right, well, it were a problem then, we could do this now, and we don't have to kind of waste a lot of time. And that were a lot of the initial things, managing the kind of time, you know, like for example, they used to usual care shifts to do 12-hour shifts. I first seen when I came in and I read it in the report, like they did the medication at 8 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and at 8 o'clock, right? And obviously these medication rounds, you've got 15 or 20 odd people to give all the medication to, but they did it at the busiest times. So, because that's they do it with the meal times, right? So I was thinking, why? Obviously, a meal time, you're serving food and try to do medication at the same time. And I asked the question. I said, why do we do it like that? Because it's just carnage. You try to do one really important job, and then two of the main important jobs within a day that you do in a care home, medication and giving people the food, dinner and stuff. So I said, why? And then they said, it's because some certain medication you have to have with food. I said, all right then. So I had a look through, I rung pharmacy and checked and stuff. And there were like 2 or 3 medications that recommended to have with food. So I checked it out and said, well, could we do this? Is it make a dramatic, impact if it's with food or a bit after, does it, So we figured that out, and then we changed the times. So we'd have as dinner. And another thing with that as well, so staff would come into the shift, the senior, the first job were to go to a medication trolley. They didn't have time to sort anything out and relax or, get the stuff together, straight in, boom, get medication trolley and they're away. So we changed that. This was one of the main first changes we did. We changed it to 9 o'clock. It's a simple thing, like, so to get all the breakfast done, we put it at an hour back at all times. And that made such a massive difference to the impact, So once we were battling through like kind of system sort of things like that, you see, and that started to make it more easier for staff to do the job.
So, I mean, I can imagine that the staff were pretty appreciative of that. If I were to ask the staff how they describe you, as manager, what words might they use to describe
I'd say back then, a couple of years ago, it wouldn't be what it was now. I'll tell you that, because obviously I had to do a lot of changing myself. I had to change my approaches, lose my temper, because I want used to the role, I wasn't used to having to, finding it difficult to understand why people not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Do you know what I mean? But now I think if you went to some staff, they'd say, very ambitious, he's supportive, and, we can see, what he's trying to achieve, and we know what effort he's put into the service. So, to kind of get to where we're at now, I would probably say that. And, it's, I think that's what they kind of say, that we, we've got a kind of family sort of vibe up there, and people try. I think that they would say, he's there for the right reasons, try to do the right thing, and we try to support everybody and him and myself to get to where we're going.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you touched on the fact that you were at uni, or you just left uni when you first started at the care home. So, I'm guessing you weren't, or this wasn't something that you planned to do. We've talked about the fact that you stumbled into this role.
Yeah.
What was your plan? So
I didn't have a plan, to be honest. I didn't have a plan. Because I went to uni quite late. I went to college in Leeds. I did ICT, and I just did it really just to do something like a lot of people might do at college, and you'll find that here. So I just kind of just did it. I had an interest to do something, and then when I finished, I was kind of, that suited me going to work for my dad, and so I didn't have to get a job and all that sort of thing. But to be fair, I was there about 4 or 5 years. I was coming to that point when I was doing the properties that I was at that point where I felt I need to do something myself. Even though I had it a lot easier, I just felt I could feel it somewhat wasn't right in myself, like, just, lacking a bit of motivation, and I wanted a challenge. I might not have thought, I need a challenge right now, but I thought somewhat were there, and it would just came at the right time, really. Because I didn't really have any sort of, ambitions to do any specific job or to do anything.
So what did you study at university?
I did multimedia technology.
Okay.
So more about, video and, 3D graphics and stuff like that. Because again, music really as well. We'd got a big kind of music background, producing more side and DJing and all that sort of thing. So I kind of, I did spend a lot of time in it. I worked in industry in Leeds and very into it. I'm a self-proclaimed, music technology expert, so I've got a studio at home. It's gathering dust now, but, I put a lot, like that were kind of going alongside, what I was doing at uni or plans. And to be honest, I thought at the time it came to a point where, am I going to go into that way as a career, which is very difficult, and I've got good contacts and stuff like that. And if I really pushed myself, I probably could have done something and made some sort of money. But then I thought, to be in that industry, to get the money that I want, or that, to get what I'm wanting, you'd have to be the top dog sort of thing. And I didn't think I had it at the time. So I thought, I didn't stop doing it. I just kind of said, right, I'm going to keep it as an hobby, just keep, making music.
I think that's a really interesting point, actually, because often people will have a hobby or, something that they do in their spare time that, they're really passionate about, and they think, I'd love to make a career out of that. But sometimes you've got to make that choice, haven't you, about whether you pursue something or whether you keep it as a
and
a pastime.
And sometimes it's like on a time as well. But the thing is with music, you can go back to it whenever you want. Do you know what I mean? So that's what I got, that sort of feeling as well. Well, later on, maybe when I'm made a bit of money, I'm a bit more kind of comfortable financially, settled in my life.
And that could be your USP. You could be the oldest DJ in town.
Yeah. Well, there's some old ones.
In many years' time, of course. So I'm interested in, on a day-to-day basis, someone in your role, you're running what I would imagine is quite a difficult operation.
Yeah.
There's, like you said, a lot of vulnerable people. They've all got individual needs. You've then got staff. You've got the staff needs on top of that. What does a typical day for you look like? So run us through your day.
So my
alarm goes off.
Yeah, at the moment, it's quite, because I've got so many different things going on at the moment. So, I do property development as well. We've got properties. We're renovating a care home at the moment up the road, which we've recently purchased. Okay. So my time is kind of split a lot over different areas. Mm-hmm. So we've got two managers at Lehmount. One's another registered manager, and that's the manager who originally I brought on. So she's built herself up to being a registered manager now. And Jodie as well, she's a care manager. So the day-to-day runnings, they kind of deal with. If they need me, I'll go in every day still. I'll go see residents, do my bit. But they're kind of handling the more day-to-day stuff now, which is a very difficult thing for me to do and to let go of, to be honest with you. And I've done that all the time. So it wasn't the easiest thing to do, and that's a hard thing for managers to do, to give up, because they think, well, I just do it myself. It's quicker to do it myself, but then that's not giving other people that opportunity to grow as well. So the day-to-day stuff at Lehmount, they sort of manage. But the thing is with that as well, it gave me more time to do things like this. Work with college. I do a lot of work with college. Also, the other roles that I've got, I'm a chairman of a registered managers network in Calderdale, which is all the managers providers in Calderdale. So we come together on a monthly basis. I'm a co-chair of that, and also thinking about growth. So it's give me that time where I can spend, going speaking to accountants, that's where my role's changed now. So I'm more about the business side of things now, growth, looking at accounts, legal stuff, and that's where my kind of more daily basis spend, rather than doing what I used to do, is do everything, do checks, auditing, I did medication. So every week back then we had to change over medication, did come in Dorset boxes. So every Sunday change them all over for the Monday, and I did that for 3 years, every Sunday without fail, no break. So then I did the same thing. So I trained my senior staff. I said, look, I spent a lot of weeks kind of going through it with them. This is how I do it. And now they do it like I do it. So there's no problems now. So, obviously it gets checked by the management team as well. But me giving them that opportunity, they've taken that on and being able to kind of bring that into their role. So that were a big kind of burden off myself, so I can, spend time doing other things.
So thinking about people who might be watching the podcast, who might be thinking about a career in the healthcare sector, what are those sort of entry roles? So, I mean, you've had quite a unique entry into the profession, but what might be the entry roles and how might people progress into a role like yours?
Yeah, well, like I said, with Saf, who's registered manager now, she's built herself up from being a carer and gone up the career pathway to a senior carer, to then being a care manager, deputy, then to being a registered manager. So that's a pathway where she's come in at a young age, 17, 18, and built her way up to that. But it is difficult, to be honest, and that's my way. There's a big problem in health and social care in general, in the care sector, where a lot of people who are carers are coming up to that retirement age, right? And this is a proper, stats from Skills for Care, but the people coming into it is not meeting the people that are leaving. So over the next 10 years, there'll be a big problem if it's kind of not resolved.
And you'll be aware that the college is working in partnership with the local NHS trust and with the council to put a partnership academy together, where we really spotlight the career opportunities, and we support people with training and skills to be able to take on those roles in the healthcare profession, and to fill that skills gap and the need.
Well, we need to, there's something needs to be done, and I've had a different view on it as well. In maybe people at that age group don't actually know what it's all about, so thinking of different ways, outside the box sort of ideas, to think, right, well, how can we just build some interest up here, or how can we make some new roles maybe that can get people in the door, and they might come in a different capacity, but then say, I fancy being a carer, because some people might get put off by it, some people don't really know.
There's a lot of myth busting up, I would imagine.
And we've actually experimented with this. So there were a scheme a couple of years ago called Kickstart scheme. I don't know if you know. So Kickstart, and that were really good opportunity. So I've seen that, because you had to make new roles for younger people looking for jobs, and so what we did is we thought, all right, that's a good opportunity, and it were fully funded as well for 6 months. So these people came on a 24-hour contract every week, and it gave us an opportunity to give people that might not be 100% interested in the sector, but thinking I need to do something with myself. So we made different roles like social media content creation, assistant, activities coordinator, admin roles, that something that we wouldn't usually do or have, and that worked really well, you see. So at least it were an experiment, but it kind of gave people that might not be interested in care or not don't know about it an insight into it, and they could kind of look at that as a career way. And some people took jobs following that as well, and that's where the kind of next stage, where we're at now, we're working with college, you see. So we have, from Calderdale College, we have health and social care students on T-level placements, but we're also thinking about other areas as well. So we've actually worked with digital students as well, which we're doing now and we've done in the past. So the previous students, they were digital students, so they don't really know nothing about care and stuff like that. So they actually made us an AI platform. So I said to them, this is what we're thinking about doing, and I kind of left it to it, and they come up with something that were pretty good, to be honest with you. It's over a 10-12 week period. It give them an insight as well, so the kind of, it's building up awareness in general, and then now we've got another program that just started with the sports sector in college and the coaching. So we set up a program, so kind of exercise sports based program that they're going to come in over 12 weeks, and they're also going to kind of monitor and do reports as well, not just kind of doing the sports, and it's all based on, they're just doing their initial assessments this week, and they're going to find out what people like sports wise, what they do now, and kind of measure that as well over time. But then the program will be set up by people, like if somebody likes boxing particularly, or rugby, or whatever kind of sports, so the sessions are going to be around that as well.
I've got to say thank you as well, because working with organisations like yourself, and getting those opportunities for our students to try out different sectors and apply the skills that they're learning here is so important.
Yeah, and I students wise, what I've tried to do with them as well is not be very specific with it. I've been quite open with it, so they kind of can take it on their own kind of development, and they can put their own input into it. Because I think they'll get, if I kind of give them a brief and say it needs to be this and you need to stick to this, I don't think they'll get much out of it. Whereas, especially with digital students, that they did the AI project, I just said this, and they come up with, so they did it themselves. Do you know what I mean? So it's giving them opportunity to kind of create something as well. So new digital students now, where we're thinking about, we just currently started doing the plans and starting the work on it, making games, for people with dementia, and then possible platform specifically for people with dementia, and people can then upload the games to that, and people can play them. So they're working on that. So it's just trying to think a bit outside of the box, and to think of new ways to kind of get people to look at the sector as well.
And I think you've touched on it there, the fact that it's not just the care roles. There's catering, there's business and admin. There's sort of all of the other services that connect around.
There is and the in, right? So a lot of the care roles, that's what I'm saying, how important a registered manager is, because you have to be a jack of all trades. You have to be HR, you have to be this, you have to be that, because the money is so tight, and it's very difficult to run, and to have people coming in as a content creator or as this assistant, it's a luxury, right? And that's just genuinely how it is, especially for, I think, independence. It's really hard. You know, so when funding comes around, it's about kind of, and college and stuff like that, because that don't cost us out. You know what I mean? So it's about taking them opportunities as well, and then thinking, giving it a go and saying, right, you know, this content creation role, it could be really beneficial for us. I think it's worth the investment to do that. Do you know what I mean? So it's just, you know, thinking about different ways, but it is difficult with job roles. But I think the sector in general has to start thinking about that, you know, to attract people into the sector.
And I'm looking forward to some, you know, we've got some ideas as well through the Health and Care Academy partnership. We want to look at engagement. We want to look at that sort of information and awareness raising with schools, and get people thinking about the wide range of careers in the sector. Yeah. So there'll be some opportunities to get your ideas on that in the future.
And it's about kind of, obviously we try to use a register managers network to promote that as well within that network, you know, and as well, since like COVID had a big impact on everything, right? Because there were a lot of, we used to do it a lot, intergen stuff going on with schools, and they'd come down to the care, like we had it were every other week, you know, where someone would come in, or a big group of kids, and residents absolutely love that, you know, they love it. And since COVID, obviously it all stopped, and it's been really difficult to build it back up again, and get them relationships going. You know, everybody's under certain pressures as well. So, you know, that's another thing where I'm trying to build that links back up with schools and colleges, and that's what we've been trying to do.
Working with people that, you know, are at a challenging point in their lives. Every individual is going to be at a different stage. There's got to be some special moments. Tell us a special moment that stands out.
Well, that's the thing, you see. Obviously, I came in there with no sort of experience. I was doing it to help mum and dad, but obviously to be still there now, obviously I've had to enjoy it. Do you know what I mean? And working with people, you know, we have some right characters there, residents, and, you know, and that really kind of kept me involved, you know, specifically one lady there as well, you know, she kind of, we have a really good relationship, and she's of character, right? She'll be swearing, she's funny, you know, she's just a character. And to be honest, that helps you stay in, and you know, kind of, you feel like you're giving value, you're feeling rewarded. It's not all about money, definitely going into the care sector, because there's somewhere about helping somebody that needs it, that you get that special reward, which you probably won't get anywhere else, to be honest. And, you know, people know generally who go into care, they're not going in it for money. They're going in to kind of do the job and to kind of get that reward. And you know, that's somewhat over years that's kind of developed within myself. Do you know what I mean? Because obviously I didn't know what I were expecting when I went there, but then you see what you're doing and the impact that you're having on people's lives, and you know, it's, you know, a positive sort of thing, and it's kept me going, you know, within the service, you know.
So I mean, your advice for someone coming into the sector, beginning their career, or someone looking to start, I mean, what would it be? Would it be come and have a look?
Yeah, I would always say, if you know, like that age group, you know, there's so many opportunities, like voluntary opportunities or work placement opportunities. I think that's a good starting point for anybody. You know, if people come to me and say, you know, I wanted to do some volunteering a couple of hours a week, I'll be like, yeah, we'll come down, we'll, you know, do the interviews and stuff like that. And, you know, people take you know, advantage of opportunities, because I know it's very difficult to get a job these days at that age, even if it's part-time or full-time, whatever it is. So, you know, people struggle with references and all this sort of thing. But that's what I would say, to kind of approach services. You know, is there any jobs going, or part-time, or is there any voluntary jobs going? You know, because we always welcome that sort of thing, because, you know, people coming in, you know, it's so busy, you know, on a day-to-day basis for staff. They're in and out, you know, they're trying to do the best, you know, speaking to everybody. It's just, that's how it is. So anybody coming in, you know, just to play games or just to do anything, you know, that's a bonus for us. So, you know, and it gives people that kind of, you know, look in and see what it's like and give them that experience. And, you know, we've had plenty of people in past. You know, we've done traineeships, we've done apprenticeships, we've had volunteers, we've had, you know, work experience. We've done it all, really, and we still do it now. And, you know, we still have people that, you know, have come as a volunteer, or they've come, you know, a few years ago, and they're still in touch. They had to kind of do it as part. They're going to be, you know, going to medical sector, and what sixth forms and colleges are saying, go do your work experience at a care home specifically, you know, and these people still keep in touch with us now, and they're at uni and they're going all over the world. So, you know, it does, you know, it's a good start. It's a good eye opener as well. Even if you're kind of wanting to go into, you know, be a social worker, or going into, you know, being a GP or a doctor or anything like that, it's a really good eye opener to see, because you're seeing the care side of it, you're seeing the kind of medical a bit side of it, even though it's not kind of what you'd get in a hospital, but there's some elements of that. You know, you're learning about communication, how to deal, you know, how to kind of speak to different people with different conditions. So you're kind of learning a lot, which you can kind of transfer as well into other jobs as well.
You sound like you've been able to step away a little bit from the operational. So you're relying on a strong team. You've obviously got a strong team now. What's the secret to that?
I think I've spent so much time with them, and I think they think like me now. So that's one thing, and it's just kind of getting everybody on the same like kind of vision. This is where we're going. This is what we're about. You know, having the same values and really just working towards it, you know. And it's hard to get the right people and get the people involved, but I always try to promote from within as well. So that's one thing that I would say from my point of view that might not have worked as well, where we'd have got seniors or carers or managers in to do that role, and it's not worked, you know. But promoting from within, because they know they've been there a certain amount of time, they've built themselves up, you've built a relationship with them, you know.
And of course, growing your own, you get to shape that
everybody just kind of, we know where we're going, and that really helps with that sort of thing, you know. I had this conversation yesterday, you know, because, you know, explaining to me, you know, senior carers, this is kind of where we're going in the next 4 or 5 years. You know, we've always got another site which is bigger than ours. You know, that's really exciting what we're doing there as well, because we're not just going to make it like a normal care home. We're going to actually make it as an activities themed area sort of care home. So it's got loads of communal areas, you know, we've got all the plans, you know. So what we're trying to do is set out different areas for specific things. So, you know, it's really exciting. We're doing the work now. So hopefully that'll be opening kind of June time. So, you know, it's really, you know, exciting times for us. But then if I didn't have that strong team, then I wouldn't have been able to do it. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
I mean, it sounds like you are someone that really thinks outside the box, that you've got, you know, really strong ideas, and then you see those through. I mean, you know, what you've just described there with the new home sounds really exciting. But obviously over that journey you've become a better leader.
Yeah.
So what have you got better at, and what's your advice to people in a leadership role? How do they get better at leading a team?
I think just being supportive is a big thing, you know, where I've had to learn that over 8 years, because, you know, I'd have complaints. I didn't know how to manage people, and we've had people leave, and where I think it's about kind of, again, being reasonable, being supportive, and it's really important, I think, to get everybody on the right page and to just be honest with them and saying, look, this is where I think this is where we need to, this is where we're going, and are you on board, sort of thing. And that seems to kind of really work, being on the same sort of page, because I think if one person's thinking this and one person's thinking this, everybody's working to separate things and it doesn't sort of work.
So I'm getting openness, transparency, consistent message.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it is spending time with people, and I think that's the main thing, really, because I've been there so long. I've spent so much time with the staff and the other managers, and it builds that bond. Do you know what I mean? If you kind of not there, we tackle stuff together. If something happens, which it does every other day, your big problems, small problems, this is not working, that's not working, we do this on a day-to-day basis, and we have done for the last 8 or 9 years since I've been there. So it builds that bond. You know what I mean? You get the natural respect from your responses that you're doing and you're giving, in the actions that you do, taking, and just leading by example. And
that visibility, you talked about the fact that you're in there.
Yeah, I'm hands-on, I'm still very hands-on now. If someone needs to do it, I'll help out, and still do shifts and all that sort of thing. So I say that as well. There's no job to staff and stuff like that. There's no job that in that care home that I haven't done, or I'll ask anybody else to do either, that I hadn't done already myself, So I've done kind of everything in there as well. And I think just being present, being there, it's 24 hours, you got a problem, anytime sort of thing. And it just builds that kind of bond, really, as well. And for me as well, I've had to sort of, it's like learning as you go along. It really is, like, and from where I am now to where I was 4 or 5 years ago is completely different.
You've talked there about listening to people, giving people time. How do you've talked about resource and money being limited in the private care homes. So how do people feel valued? How do they get recognition?
So we do quite a number of things at Dhiman, which again we've developed over the years. But the main one really is being there for your staff if they need you. And half the time it's not to do with work. I think that goes more than anywhere, to be honest with you. Being there, if they've got a problem, we're there and we can help you sort it out, basically. I think that overall goes the most.
And do you know what I think a lot of people sort of don't do enough of? It's just a simple thank you. A lot of people just forget to say, or, that was a great job.
Yeah. And
I mean, everyone likes a pat on the back, don't they?
Yeah, they do. And again, because you're doing the day-to-day job, it's hard sometimes to just think, you've done a good job there, that's a good job. You know what I mean? It is difficult because you're so you're going on and your expectations are up here anyway. Our expectations are up here. Our standards want to be up here. So you're thinking, well, that's just normal. That's how it should be, like, but we do other stuff as well, which probably a lot of places do. We do an outstanding award every month, which is, just think somebody that's really put that month, like employee of the month sort of thing. We do, and also a thing called Carers Carer Award. So it's something that we kind of come up with where we speak to all staff, we get a vote from them. So the actual award is coming from their, co-workers. Yeah. So that's a different thing to do. People got compliment things and stuff like that. But I think, again, it's just, that sort of thing where you they know that they're there for us, sort of thing, is an important thing, and vice versa.
I'm really interested to hear from you, because at the end of our podcasts we ask our guests the same question, and it'd be really interesting with you because your career path's taken an unexpected route. What text message would you send to yourself, young Boo, maybe 15? What would the message say? What would be the advice that you give to yourself
At 15?
Thinking about where you are now in your career,
Yeah.
what you've learnt along the way, what advice are you now able to give?
I'd probably I'd say live your life, have your fun as well, which I have done, but try to kind of focus on your future a bit as well, because I had no sort of, I kind of had an idea, this is what I got, my dad's got his own business, I kind of had a loose idea, but I would still say though, I don't have many regrets, and I think you've got to live your life as well, you've got to experience, things. I've been all over the world, I've been to, with music stuff as well, I've enjoyed all that, and it's been a big part of my development as well. So I won't say, kind of get on with it and make money and do this and have because I think it's worked well for me, because I've kind of got that stuff out of my system. So now I'm not too bothered about it going out and all that sort of thing. And,
And you know what? It's good to work hard, but it's good to
play hard,
have fun.
Yeah.
But like you say, get your head down, focus on the future.
Yeah.
And there's no reason why you can't do both.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Okay.
it, yeah.
Well, look, I'm really excited for some of the opportunities that we're going to have for the college to work with the care home. And I'm sure that there's going to be lots more opportunities for our students with you guys in the future.
Yeah, definitely. I think as well with stuff they're doing at Dean Clough as well. So I spoke to Simon, I think, as well. So that's an interesting thing, and we just kind of, we've got a good base, good working relationship now. So it's kind of just building that and seeing what else we can do, really.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, and for giving your experiences and your advice.